Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Small Brain Pilot channel. I hope you're having a good day because if you're not having a good day, it's about to get better, don't worry. Today we are parked here as you can see, today we're parked here at Islamabad International Airport in Pakistan. We're flying the national flag carrier of Pakistan, Pakistan International Airlines, with this beautiful Airbus A320 Neo, registration Alpha Papa Bravo Lima Victor. You may be wondering where we're headed today. Our destination today, we're heading over to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, more specifically to the capital. We're headed to King Khalid International Airport all the way in Saudi Arabia. It's a flight from one capital to the other. Today's flight time is going to be roughly around 4 hours and 25 minutes block time, hopefully with winds going to be on our side, but since we're going from the west to east, winds are going to be against us, but let's hope for the best. Today's flight is going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be a lot of beautiful views over Pakistan and a lot of the Arabian Sea, and then over a lot of desert over Dubai and Saudi Arabia. But I think I've yapped on enough, long enough. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. And here we are in the cockpit of the Airbus A320 Neo. As you can see, we're all cold and dark because, true men start the aircraft from cold and dark like always. Without further ado, let's get this aircraft powered on. We're going to come up here. We're just going to flick the external power switch and the aircraft should come alive. It'll go through its test. We can dismiss the master caution. Let's get the navigation lights on. Let's get the emergency lights armed. Let's get the no smoking signs on and the seatbelt signs on. Get the aircraft ready to board. Turn on the batteries and the fuel pumps, and we can then turn on all the ADIRSs to nav. We can come on here, turn on the crew supply for the oxygen, and for the time being that should be our overhead panel set. So without further ado, I'm gonna get the aircraft loaded up with the fuel and passengers, and we are gonna fill in the FMC, get the departure and our flight plan computed in, and I'll catch you guys once we're ready for APU startup. Alright, ladies and gents, I have the flight plan computed in. The aircraft is now ready for APU startup. But before we go ahead and get our APU started, I'll just let you guys know what the flight plan is. We're going to be taking off runway 28 right here in Islamabad. We're going to be following the Callum 1 Juliet departure. And that's going to get us on our pathway, and we're going to be going towards Riyadh. For performance figures today, I'm going to use Flex 56, flaps 1 for departure. Our V1 speed is going to be 139 knots. We're going to rotate at 140 knots, and V2 is going to be 144 knots. QNH right now in Islamabad is 3015. And let me just look at the weather. It's a beautiful day. It's 18 degrees Celsius. Winds are 24 knots at 310. It's going to be quite a gusty takeoff. Not gusty, it's going to be a windy takeoff to say the least. We can also take this time to set our cruising altitude into the FMC. We're going to be cruising today at an altitude of 38,000 feet, which is going to be nice. Hopefully we can catch some nice tailwinds there or a lot of headwind. We'll see what we get. And with that being said, folks, I think I've yapped on enough. It's time to turn on the APU. So we can come up here, turn on the APU, simply just going to turn on the master switch and hit the starter button. And the APU should now come up. We can observe the APU's progress here. Once this N hits 100%, the APU is going to be available to us and ready for us to use. Alright folks, so while we're pushing back here, we can also go ahead and get the engine started. To start up the engine, we're going to come up here, we're going to make sure our beacon light is on. Once that is done, we're simply going to flick the switch to ignition and turn on the engine. So the engine should now start properly. Alright ladies and gents, the tug has been detached. While we were pushing back, we did start up engine number 2. We can now go ahead and start up engine number 1. Similar process, the ignition's already set, we just need to flick the master switch to the on position. Engine number 1 should be starting up now. And folks, while we wait for engine number 1 to spool up, we can take this time to set flaps for departure. Flaps departure for today are just flaps 1. Once we've set our flaps for departure, we can see that the engine number 1 is still spooling up. We can go ahead and turn on the taxi lights and the runway turn off lights. With that being said, folks, while I wait for engine number 1 to spool up, we are ready for a taxi to the runway. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get the aircraft taxi to the runway, and I'll catch you guys once we're ready for departure out of Islamabad.
ख़वातीन व हज़रात तवज्जो फरमाइए, दौरान परवाज़ अपनी हिफाजती बंद बांधे रखें क्योंकि परवाज़ अचानक नाहमवार हो सकती है। हिफाजती बंद बांधने के लिए मेटल का चपटा हिस्सा बकल के अंदर डालकर पेटी कस लें। खोलने के लिए ऊपर का हिस्सा उठा लें। मोबाइल फोन का इस्तेमाल ममनू है। लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर्स, MP3 और CD प्लेयर्स टेक ऑफ के 15 मिनट बाद इस्तेमाल किए जा सकते हैं, लेकिन लैंडिंग से पहले हिफाजती बंद के निशान रोशन होने पर इन्हें बंद करना होगा। जरूरत पड़ने पर आपके लिए ऑक्सीजन मास्क खुद ब खुद आपके सामने गिर पड़ेगा। मास्क को झटके से खींचिए, नाक और मुंह पर रखकर इलास्टिक की पट्टी को सर के गिर्द पहनकर मास्क के जरिए सांस लें। अगर जहाज में धुआं बढ़ जाए तो फर्श में दरमियानी कतार की सीटों के साथ लगी।
Alright ladies and gents, welcome back to the flight deck. As you saw, we had a pretty decent taxi, pretty straightforward taxi as well to the runway. We're taking off runway 28 right today, which is right in front of us. There is no approaching traffic, there's no departing traffic either. So we can go ahead and line up. We can turn on all the landing lights and our strobe lights. APU has been turned off. Ignition is back to normal. With that being said, folks, we can line up and clear ourselves for takeoff of Islamabad. As you can see, quite a hazy day in Islamabad, as it usually is in Pakistani airports. Low visibility, so it's going to be taking off straight ahead. Luckily, not a lot of mountains around us, not a lot of dangerous terrain. But yeah, you can barely see the end of the runway. You can kind of just make out the terminal there on the right side. Anyways, without further ado, it's time to embark on our journey. 4.5 hours roughly to Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's increase thrust. No messages. Alright. Toga set. Alright. Quite windy. I need to use a lot of rudder here to keep the aircraft on the center line. Speed's building nicely. Having to use a lot of rudder. Alright, here we go. V1, rotate, and just lift it into the air. There we go. Pretty smooth takeoff. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. There we go. The gear should be coming up now. And that's it. That's a pretty smooth takeoff there out of Islamabad. Quite windy there. We can bring flaps up. Speed's going nicely. We can set throttles to the climb position. And then I can go ahead and follow the flight directors there. The aircraft is producing the thrust necessary. 1,000. Alright, we're climbing nicely and we're clear of 1,000 feet. So folks, with that being said, we've departed successfully out of Islamabad International Airport. We're headed towards Riyadh. I'm gonna get the autopilot turned on, and I'll see you guys once we're on short final at Riyadh. I might just hand fly this aircraft a bit. You know, with the Airbuses, hand flying is extremely smooth. I mean, it doesn't feel as you don't feel the aircraft mechanically as much as you do with the Boeings, but the hand flying is really smooth. Like, it's still fun to hand fly an Airbus aircraft. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, honestly, I the low speed conditions it's kind of scary because the flight director was telling me to go up, but the speed was falling. But anyways, everything looks good now. We're gonna follow the flight directors onto a left bank. We go. Okay, enough talking. You guys aren't here to listen to me. You guys are here to enjoy the views. So without further ado, happy flying, guys. I'll see you when we're on short final into Riyadh. There we go. Autopilot on. Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the cockpit of this Airbus A320 Neo. We are approximately 132 nautical miles away from Riyadh. As you can see, our top of descent is approaching. So with that being said, let's go through the approach briefing real quick. So into Riyadh, we're going to be landing on runway 15 right, ILS 15 right approach via the Resa 1 Alpha arrival. So as you can see, if I can click through for you guys. Here we go. Yeah, so we're just going to be coming in straight. We're going to be taking a right turn, decelling, and we're going to be turning around completely and landing onto the runway 15 right into Riyadh. Pretty straightforward arrival. Shouldn't be too hard with ILS involved. Hopefully we can pull it off and have a smooth landing. Cabin is secured. Pretty nice weather. Pretty views all around. You know, we had some amazing views of the desert as you guys saw. Pretty scenic flight. No adverse weather at predicted at Riyadh. Actually, let me just check on Volanta what the weather is in Riyadh. Yeah, so predicted weather Riyadh 23 degrees Celsius. Winds are just 8 knots from 340. Oh no, sorry, yeah. Riyadh, yeah. 20 degrees Celsius. Winds are 5 knots from 70. So should be pretty easy, straightforward landing. And yeah. So I'm gonna get the aircraft descended, and I'll see you guys once we're at short final into Riyadh. Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the flight deck of the Airbus A320. We are here on short final into almost at Kabul. I've been watching a YouTube video. Anyways, we are into short final here into Riyadh. Autopilot going off and hand flying the aircraft now. We're coming in after approximately 4 hour flight, 4 hour 15 minutes. Here we are on short final. Let's hopefully butter the bread. It's a nice sunny day. Beautiful views of Riyadh as you guys saw. Hopefully we can get a landing that's worth the views. So far we're coming in good on the glide slope. Nicely aligned on the center line as well. Not a lot of wind today. Usually there's a lot of wind on my landings for some reason. I don't know why. I'm always so unfortunate. But yeah, not a lot of wind today here into Riyadh. Beautiful, beautiful scenery by the way. The desert views, phenomenal. Amazing flight. Honestly, it amazes me what's possible in the simulator. Truly get to explore the world without leaving my chair. But enough yapping. Here we are on shore final. Looking good on the glide slope. Let's hopefully get a greaser. Butter the bread. Put margarine on the toast. You know, everything smooth. All lights are deployed. Flaps set. Auto brakes set. Spoilers armed. Cabin. I have it checked. It's okay. I have good authority from the flight attendants. The cabin is ready. There you go. A bit high on the glide slope. Let's just descend a bit. There we go. Back on glide slope. Here we are. Trying to catch the glide slope. It keeps running away from me. There we go. Caught it. Let's keep it. Okay, straying a bit to the right of the center line. Let's fix that. I'm really oscillating with the glide slope here. I'm gonna go visual only. Still a bit to the right. It's okay. We're coming in. Center. Alright, focus up. Here we go. There's the runway threshold. Pitch up. There we are. Perfect glide slope so far. Center line could be a bit better, but it's okay. We'll take it. Coming in. There we go. Alright, over the runway threshold now.
50,
Idle.
40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
And that is a butter landing into Riyadh. Floated there towards the end, but it's okay. I know we had a long runway here, so we could afford to do that. Slowing down nicely. Reverses in. And we're going to take the high speed to the left here. Alright, folks. Beautiful flight there. 4 hours worth of flying for an amazing... I think that landing was pretty decent. Though off to the center line. I really need to improve my center lines. But anyways, regardless, we're going to exit off the runway here. And with that, folks, welcome to Saudi Arabia. Welcome to Riyadh. I'm going to get the aircraft cleaned up and get ourselves taxied over to the gate. And I'll see you guys once we're at the gate for engine shutdown. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, after 4 hours of flying and a 9-minute taxi, we have made it to the gate here at Riyadh. As you can see, there's a lot of traffic here, quite busy. There's a FlyNAS next to us, and there is a Boeing 787 from Saudi that I believe has just landed. Yeah, anyways, with that being said, our APU is on, so let's turn on the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights. Turn off the beacon lights, switch on the APU bleed, and go ahead and turn off our engines. That's engine 1, engine number 2. With that being said, oh, MSFS, okay. With that being said, folks, we've made it here to the gate at Riyadh, and our engines are shutting down nicely. There you go, engines being shut down. Once the engine's clear and the chocks are deployed, we can go ahead and get the ground services in. So we just go here, services, let's get all the ground services. Alright, and as the ground services come in, folks, with that being said, we have concluded today's video here. If you enjoyed today's video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and suggest any possible routes or anything you guys want to leave. Any suggestions you have, leave them in the comments. It's been fun flying today. It's Small Brain Pilot, signing out. Happy flying. Allah Hafiz.